to the Goody Room, your one-stop shop for everything movies, TV, and more. We know you want the goodies. Welcome back to the Goody Room. I'm your host, Matt the Nachos. With me always is my man in the chair, Frankie Brock. What's up, Frank?
Not much, man. What's going on with you this evening?
Besides it being like a little nippy, for those of you not in the region, nippy is cold. It is cold.
It's funny. We're having our stereotypical Ohio winter where last week it was like in the 40s, pushing 50s. This week it's negative 15 wind chill. What are you going to do?
Bundle up next to a warm fire.
Yeah. Maybe
read a book.
I have been reading a book.
Wrapped in leather.
Smelling of rich mahogany.
Your bookshelf of rich mahogany.
That's right. I got a bookshelf behind me, and it does not smell of rich mahogany.
It doesn't look like rich mahogany either.
No, it's we call that a Walmart maple. Yes,
it must be unique to your region.
It is.
Full episode here today of Streamer Botch. We got a lot of things that Frank actually has watched. And we're going to get right into it with the first one here, not waste any time. It's Reacher Season 1. Frank, tell us about Reacher.
So Reacher, I got to tell you, I have not been watching a whole lot of TV or TV that's like series where I have to follow episodes or binge them or whatever. I just haven't been in the mood. And to be honest, there's just been so much content that has been coming out that it's kind of to a point where it's overbearing. And people are like, you got to watch this, you got to watch that. I feel like every time you turn around, someone's telling you to watch this one, whatever show. And my list got too large. So I just, the last couple months, decided I'm not going to watch any of these. So there's that. But over Christmas break, I was in the mood to kind of start watching something just to have on in the background. And I remember my dad telling me about how on Amazon Prime, there's this show called Reacher, which it's about this ex-army guy, Jack Reacher, who's now, for all intents and purposes, like a private detective, bounty hunter. He's like a homeless guy running around solving mysteries and murders and things like that. And that's basically the premise of the show. He meets up. In the first season, he rolls into a small town to help solve a conspiracy. He meets the local law enforcement along the way. And just things get crazier and crazier as the season goes on, as he starts to uncover. And it's like, holy cow, a lot going on in this small southern town, tale as old as time. But the thing that for me that just keeps holding my attention, I've only finished season 1 and I'm about 2 or 3 episodes into season 2. Season 2 is amazing so far, but the main character, Reacher, Jack Reacher, is played by an actor that I've known forever, Alan Richardson. I think he got his big break in this show called Blue Mountain State, where he played this college quarterback, and he was hysterical. And this was about 10, 12 years ago. I thought he was huge back then, like muscular huge. But now as Reacher, there's no way this guy doesn't eat like 10 chickens a day to keep the protein or whatever. And, just pounding those shakes like they're water. I don't know the exact science and how someone gets big. I'm sure he's also on that Hollywood cocktail to get big as well, but whatever. This guy's huge. He plays the character so well. He's cool. He's calculated. He kicks a lot of butt, man. In the first episode, Matt, he's in prison. He goes to prison. He commits a crime just to go into prison to protect this one guy who got sent there falsely. And he's just like, well, I'm going to go too, make sure nothing happens to him. He beats everybody up. It was like the scene in Daredevil season 2 where he's like trying to escape the prison. It was a lot like that. And just I was just like, whoa, this is episode 1. And I'm sitting there and I was like, well, I think I'm going to have to watch it. And, I'm not one where I'm like sitting there going, binging and watching 2 or 3 episodes in a sitting. I will watch one, go a couple days, watch another one. It's very, very easy to watch. Like I can be on my phone, I could be like cleaning in the kitchen or cooking dinner, have it on, leave for 5 minutes, come right back, not miss a beat, still know exactly what's going on. It's a very casual watch, and it's very, very entertaining.
And where can people find this?
You can find this on Amazon Prime. And I've heard so many people say, well, this show's for like old people, things like that. I was like, I think anybody can enjoy it.
What does that even mean?
Exactly. Like I don't know where I read that review, but that review is wrong. The thing that I also like about it, it does have its like kind of borderline absurd moments, but I wouldn't say it's over the top. But it kind of reminds you of something from the 90s. Like there's a scene in season 1. This is a minor spoiler, where one of his people he's working with is like kind of like back against the wall, and the bad guy goes, "Guess your friends aren't coming." And immediately after he said that, Jack Reacher drives through the wall in his truck and like pins the guy. And it's just like it's that type of like action, So
Not Tom Cruise though.
no. So there were 2 Jack Reacher movies that had come out that I saw the first one, and I'm a big Tom Cruise fan. I just didn't like the movie, period. And I think that one was filmed in Pittsburgh too.
It was.
Yeah. And I remember at the time just reading how like people were like, Tom Cruise is the absolute last guy that should be playing Jack Reacher because he's so small. Jack Reacher in the books, haven't read the books. There's like 30 of the books. Will not start that series. There's too many.
Yeah, well, I don't read.
Right.
I wait for the movie. I'm in and out in 2 hours.
That's right. But anyway, in the book, I guess he's described as like this hulking mass. And Alan Richardson, the guy that plays him, like he's massive. Like his biceps are bigger than both of my thighs put together. And I have big thighs. So,
That is big. Is he like he's not Dwayne Johnson big though, is he?
He's not Dwayne Johnson big, but I will compare his like when I saw him like 10 years ago in that show to now, like the same type of transformation The Rock went through. Like if you go back and watch like The Rundown or Doom, The Rock looks hungry.
He does. It's amazing how big some of those guys get. But that I've seen a lot of it takes like a lot of meal planning. They intake a lot of protein, and then there's supplements, right?
Obviously. Oh, the Hollywood cocktail. Yeah,
right. But is there like a comparable show? Like if people like this, you would recommend this to them?
I would say it doesn't even need to be a show, but if you're looking for like a mild action or like a mystery thriller that has some good action beats in it, like this show is for you. It's well done. Like I said, very easy to watch and digest. The episodes don't overstay their welcome. They're only like 45, 48 minutes long. And like I said, I haven't been like watching them one after another. Like I went a week between like an episode one time, and they have a good recap at the beginning. I picked right up where I left off. And like I said, I'm only a couple episodes into season 2. I really like season 1, but season 2 is really good. Like I enjoy what's going on in season 2. It's revealed that like back before the events of the show, he was in charge of a whole team of people like in the army to go investigate like internal affairs or something like that. And now somebody is taking out the old members of his team like one by one. So 4 of them are together right now, and they're trying to figure out what's going on before they get killed. But I don't think they'll be successful. I have my theories about what's going on. I had my theories last season about what was going on. I was completely wrong. So
it's Soldier Boy.
What do you mean, Soldier Boy?
Soldier Boy from The Boys. See, he's come back. He's coming to kill all his old team.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. Soldier Boy.
All right.
I was thinking Soldier Boy. What's that song that was popular when we were in college?
Oh yeah, Crank That Soldier Boy.
Yeah, I was like, what Soldier Boy had to do with this? Just kind of wrap things up.
You're funny.
You're funny. No, you're funny. You're funny. You're funny
Wow.
looking.
Yeah, kind of.
Hey, Matt and Frank, we know humor.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Anyway, to wrap it up, this is absolutely a stream for me. Definitely watch it. Amazon Prime. Each season is only 8 episodes. So again, it's very short, very easy to watch, like super easy to watch.
There you go. You heard it. Go watch it, not just for old people, and check it out before Amazon starts putting commercials, as part of your basic subscription.
I hope they don't do that. They're going to, but
They're going to. Yeah. If you want shows like Reacher to continue, they're gonna have to, right?
I know. Yeah, and that's what people don't understand. It's like these shows have to get fun. Debbie, Reacher is not getting funded by you buying your fake nails or whatever.
All right. Any final comments?
Watch it.
Got it. Next up, we have Beep Camp.
Beep Camp. Bird noise camp. Camp.
Bird Camp.
No. We got this show. We got this documentary that is on Netflix called Hell Camp. And it's funny because I remember growing up, either myself or someone getting on a line, like one of my buddies, and I'm talking like middle school, high school, and one of our parents would say, if you don't shape up, we're going to send you to one of these correctional camps and everything. And this is how naive I was back in the day. I always thought, like, there's no way places like this exist. Well, let me tell you, these places exist, and it's one of the corporations that was funded one of these camps, the center of a new documentary on Netflix called Hell Camp. And this started back in the 80s. There's this guy, I know his first name's Steve, I forget his last name, but this guy was just, you see this guy, he appears on screen for the first time. They show old footage of him talking. It's one of those things that you immediately know. It's like, this guy is a slime ball. Like, this guy is terrible. This guy should have no interaction with anybody, let alone children. So he's ex-Air Force, gets this idea, like we could really turn things around for the troubled youths, and they create this camp where, and this was back in the 80s, where they would send out brochures, and these parents would get a hold of these brochures, and it would look the camps that he would like make the brochures look like, they were super nice, looked like they were going on vacation. They were not going on vacation, these kids. Matt, I can see you like smiling and shaking your head. You're like, yeah. So your mic's muted, bud.
And oh man, yeah, I feel like I'm at work. You're on mute. I could just see the brochures, like they're making hot dogs, right? They're singing "Kumbaya" by the fire, and it's nothing like that. You get there, like chains everywhere, right?
Right. Well, so let me tell you, Matt, you're gonna be my example, okay? I'm your dad now. Look at that. I mean, I am older than you, so it makes sense.
You're older than me, yeah. So yeah,
makes sense. All right, I'm your dad. I'm tired of you. I'm tired of all this bull crap you put me through daily. I'm done. So I go down to the local Piggly Wiggly and I find a little brochure for this little campy camp. And I was like, you know what? I am having trouble with Matt. Maybe I'm going to send Matt to one of these. So how this happens is, you go to bed one night and I just say, hey, good night. Enjoy, sleep tight. These people would come to your house, wake the kid up in the middle of the night, kidnap them, essentially. Take them, get on a private jet, fly off to Arizona, drive 3 hours to the middle of nowhere. And only then, once they arrived, did they hand like the kid a bill or something that had your parents' address on it. And I would write you a little note that says, hey, enjoy the process, take the process seriously, love, Dad. And you were there for like 3-4 months, hiking, whatever you like, essentially in your pajamas. Okay. And you would have to like hike like 20 miles a day, pulling like big carts, had to hunt and scavenge your food, things like that. It got wild. Like, and they interviewed all these now adults that were there in like the 80s or early 90s. And the one girl said, when I arrived, I had gum and I was chewing gum. This gaunt, like hungry looking girl came to her and said, "Hey, let me get that gum." And she said, "Well, I've been chewing it for like hours." She said, "I don't care. I need gum." And like that's the kind of the state of mind these kids were in. And they were pushed to like the brink of like, they were getting, poisoned by snakes and bitten by like all these insects. One girl like broke her ankle. They still made her walk. One girl died. Okay, so this guy, the head of it, Steve, you know, he shuts down for like a month, has like all these court cases, was it child neglect that you let this kid die, and it was ruled by a jury that it wasn't, murder, and it wasn't his fault that this girl died. And it's like, yes, it was. She was under your care. She was at your camp, But so he shuts down. He then like changes his name so he can start up a new business, and it's the same thing, only this time they're on a boat and they're sailing through the Caribbean for like longer now. It's like 6 months.
And I gotta stop you. And I gotta think on this cruise. T-Pain's not there.
T-Pain is not there. He's not wearing his flippy floppies, nor is
Right.
he with the mermaid.
They ain't got their swim trunks and their flippy floppies. The
No,
Utes. The Utes. Are you
the
saying
youths.
they better shape up? You know why? Because you need a man.
That's right. But no, like seriously, like, and it gets to a point with the second camp. This one kid, well, this one adult is interviewed, and they show old videos of him, and his dad was some bigwig in Atlanta or something like that, sent the kid there because he's into drugs, all that sort of thing. And they show old videos of like the dad coming to visit him, and the kid's like, "Oh my God, thank you for sending me here." Well, they after that video they cut back to him in the present, and he's basically saying like, "Yeah, I was home maybe 3 or 4 days and I started using again. This camp didn't work at all. I had a plan, once I got out of there, I was just going to go right back and hang out with my friends." The guy who ran it, his kids developed drug problems, and the one's in jail right now, couldn't be interviewed. Just
Well,
this.
I have to imagine that this is causing probably more damage than good. This camp, right? Like, there's a lot
Right.
of like. I mean, it is kind of like you're trying to change how they think about things and stuff like that. But I think stuff like that does more harm than good. Like a show that I actually really like, and they even tell you it has some success, but some of those kids still end up down the same path as Scared Straight, and you have these troubled youths,
The Utes.
and the parents signed them up to go, basically spend the day in prison,
Yep.
and and they go through the whole process and they see what it's like to literally be locked up, because that's the path a lot of these kids are heading down. So this seems like that, like on steroids.
Yes. So I've not only obviously I've watched Hellcamp. I've also watched Scared Straight. I would take Scared Straight every day of the week over what these kids went through at this guy's rehabilitation camp or
The
lack
Hunger
thereof.
Games. It's the Hunger Games. These are
Yeah.
tributes.
Oh man. I hate to make a joke about it, but yeah, it just like they treated him very poorly. And I'm not talking the old trilogy of Hunger Games. We're talking the new Hunger Games movie where they're thrown into a cage essentially. And just I don't
Teaser
know.
for next episode. Teaser for next episode.
Teaser for next episode, but obviously, just like any documentary, it ends with saying there are countless organizations that still operate today in the United States that that this sort of thing's still happening. And I'm trying not to spoil everything for our 5 listeners or whatever, but man, there's a lot more that goes on in this documentary, and it's on Netflix. I would say stream with caution, not that it's going to ruin your life or anything, but like, it's one of those things that you get done watching, a rain cloud kind of forms above your head, and you feel some type of way for the rest of the afternoon.
I actually, I think I'm going to put this on. This sounds interesting. I'm curious to see. I have no doubt in my mind that this is horrific, like what these kids had to go through and the stories that they tell. And for your dad listening, because he's one of the only listeners we have,
Right.
right? He knows that I'm a metaphor for him.
you
Right?
know, this is on Netflix, and I got to tell you, I watch not as many documentaries as I once did. I will say that the documentaries that are on Netflix are the best. Like, they find the best ones, and this one's right up there. It's not going to win any awards, but like, it for an hour and a half, I didn't feel the hour and a half go by. I was surprised when it was over, and I was like waiting for the next episode to load, and I was like, oh, it's just one. But HBO and Netflix still have the best documentaries, bar none. If you're like, well, what about such and such service, and there's something that I don't know about it, drop us a comment, send us a message, let me know. I would love to educate myself further with some documentaries.
Oh, I love a good documentary. I mean, Netflix is one of my main sources for that. There's always well done ones on HBO too. And then if you're
Right.
really into the sports stuff, right, 30 for 30 on ESPN, it's
I
definitely.
like Yeah, I like how they put not all the 30 for 30s, but most of the 30 for 30s are on Disney Plus now, which
Yeah.
I've seen when they used to be on Netflix. I remember when I was like, oh man, the U, and you're like, that's old, man. I was like, hey, shush, I'm just getting into it.
But that just goes to show you, like, even Frank, he's not a sports guy, right? But he still enjoyed the stories, and like any documentary, I'm really interested in if it's a good story or it's an interesting subject. Like, this is interesting to me, and I do know that there are places like this. Like, don't be naive. These places exist, and if you look hard enough, you can find them.
Don't be like high school me that thought it was an empty threat. No, these places are out there. So yeah.
Exactly. Any final comments, Frank?
Mind your P's and Q's with your parents. Don't be sent to one of these camps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless they don't pay your bills.
Well, then that's different.
Next one here, we got Frank. Yeah, I'm gonna butcher it. I already forgot.
We got a movie called Nefarious, which is on Amazon Prime, that was recommended to me by a coworker who does not want his name mentioned on the podcast. So for here on out, he will be known as Mandy Monson on the podcast. Okay,
Can we call
Mandy?
him with a simpler name?
No,
Not
no, Mandy Monson. I worked all day on that. That's what we're going with.
what's the story behind this Mandy Monson?
Mandy Monson. We'll call him Eminem. How you like that?
All right, I'll go. That's
Yeah,
good. I'm
Eminem.
good.
Yeah. So
All right, all right.
Mandy Monson, aka Eminem, storms the office last week and says, "Hey, I watched this movie called Nefarious," and I said, "Congratulations!" I just like that's how he starts. He's like, "I watched this movie called Nefarious," and he just pauses. And it's like, "Great." And no, and he's like, "No, Frank, you'd love this movie." And I said, "All right, well, tell me what's the premise?" And basically, there's this gentleman who is on death row, and it's the day of his execution. And in order to do, they're going to use the electric chair on him. And basically, the only way that they can really do it the day of is if the criminal is considered sane, not insane. Because if they're insane, then they're not going to electrocute an insane person. They're going to send them to psychiatric and, you know, try to get him better help, I suppose. So the psychiatrist arrives at the prison, and it's a man's body, but it's a demon talking. And he's talking about how his death is going to lead to not so much the second coming, but like an the revolution. Like, he said, the devil essentially, or the demon says, what Jesus did for the Catholics back in the day, I'm going to do for the Satanists in a year's time from now.
This is
And it
good.
say again, yeah, this is no good,
And Russell Crowe's not in this, right? Trying to like.
dude. First off, The Pope's Exorcist was a great movie. I thought that was great. That was also recommended to me by Mandy Monson. Wow.
Eminem.
Eminem, the notorious Eminem. Um, so I was telling you before we got on, pardon me, if you're a fan of the show Entourage, or if you watched Entourage, there was this bad guy on the show by the name of Adam Davies, who was like the anti Ari Gold, the evil agent, so to speak. And he plays the main psychiatrist. And I won't lie, I've watched Entourage too many times. Like, it was difficult for me to take him seriously. However, the guy that played the demon was the Boondock Saints, the brother that's not on Walking Dead, the other one that we like never see.
Yeah.
And he does like this great, like, kind of like performance where he's 1 minute he's talking as the demon, and then like the camera pans and his face changes and he's talking as the real person, and there couldn't be two completely different individuals. And I thought he did a really good job. I thought the story was good. It was tense. It was a really good thriller. It wasn't scary or anything. I would say The Pope's Exorcist was scarier, and that wasn't even a scary movie, but it was one of those recommendations that I took, and I was like, you know what? I will watch this. And it was short too. It was like 80 minutes. Another short one.
This sounds like a Sabak, situation here, where he's gonna put on this crown, kill himself, and he comes back as this demon, like superhero, like not superhero, but like he's a demon, like villain.
Right. Yeah. Well, it doesn't get that outrageous or that colorful, we'll say, but it's so weird, especially if you, because I grew up and I'm Catholic. I think you're Catholic as well, right? So, sure. Okay. So the way that the story goes and how it's set up, it mirrors certain things that you would learn about in the Catholic school, or what if you read the Bible. So it was interesting to see, like, if this was happening. I'm trying to search for a way to say this. If this was happening, like the devil was like trying to take over, like this is a unique view of how it might go.
Sure. No, that makes sense.
Well, he talks about. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, yeah, you're more than fine. Just listening you talk about the Bible and demons.
So one of the things that I like most about it was when the demon is explaining to Adam Davies, like, this is how we came to be, and this is what happened. He refers to Jesus as the carpenter. We'll not refer to him as Jesus. And, he talks about the state of the world. There's a big social commentary about the state of the world. And, the psychiatrist is like, we've never been in a better place. We have these rights, we have this, we have that. He names the list went on forever. And the demon just starts like cracking up and just goes, ha ha ha, I love you. You're so adorable. And you think that's good? No, our plan's working. And you're like, oh no. You don't think about it that way.
I don't know why, but that sounds like familiar, like to something else I've seen in the past. I can't put my finger on it right now, but
yeah, it's definitely, like, I wouldn't say it's original, but it was well done. And it was on Amazon for, I mean, we pay for Amazon, but I didn't have to pay again for it. And it was Saturday night, and it was super cold outside. We weren't going anywhere, so I was like, all right, let's watch this movie. And as it turns out, Mandy Monson, the notorious Eminem, he hit a good one.
What's the genre on this?
I would say thriller, mystery.
Okay, sure. Cool. Yeah, that's my type of thing. Maybe I'll give it a go. Well,
I think you'd like it because and again, it's super short too.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Eminem. I also love your candy. So, any final comments?
Stream it. And I don't know if I said we're 3 for 3 on the stream tonight. Should we go for 4, Matt?
I mean, Connect 4, right? Let's do it.
Go. Let's go. The
Excellent.
Fantastic Four.
Uh, not yet. Yeah, it's a trigger. It's a trigger word.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Uh, all right. Well, next on Streamer Botch here, we have the new Dave Chappelle, The Dreamer, which I believe is on Netflix.
It is. It is. Dave Chappelle has, like Matt was saying, it's his new stand-up special. And, at this point, guys, it's Dave Chappelle. I would argue he is the greatest comedic mind of our time. And if you are not a Dave Chappelle fan, that's fine. But like, I don't think this new special is going to change your mind on him by any means. But if you're a fan of Dave Chappelle, you like his comedy, then it's exactly what the doctor ordered. Not too much to say on this one, other than like he performs in Washington, where he's from, and it's the stage where he performed his first stand-up live stand-up that was being filmed, or it was his big break, so to speak. And he talks about how he was a dreamer and how different celebrities that he met are obviously dreamers as well. Like, he talks about how he met Little Nas X, and I won't tell you what went on in that story, but it was very funny. A standout for me in the show, he introduces this joke. He goes, this joke is probably one of the worst jokes I've ever done. And I just want to preface, like, before I do it, I'm going to just try it, but I get a mixed response with this joke everywhere I go. And it's essentially the people, the ghost of the Titanic, seeing the submarine coming down to see them before the submarine exploded or imploded. And he does like this underwater voice of this ghost. He's like, come, join us in our watery grave. And just how he sets it up and does the voice, I thought it was funny. It's really stupid humor, but that doesn't take too much from me. But again, it's Dave Chappelle. He says some jokes that he obviously is trying to get a rise out of people, but it's comedy. It's meant to push the boundaries.
And that's what comedy is, right? Like, even if like I honestly I have trouble watching some of these specials because I just miss the skit show, like back
Yeah.
in the day when I was a kid, right?
Oh,
But
absolutely.
I mean, he even did that, way back in the day where he was pushing, the boundaries of things like that. Like, he had a race draft in one of his episodes,
Yeah.
right?
Oh my gosh.
But the best part about it was like the Chinese drafted the Wu-Tang Clan.
Yeah, his show. I just remember it had been on for a while, and I would hear people talk about it.
Yeah.
And I was just kind of back in the day, believe it or not, I was a little shy, and if it wasn't my friends talking about it, I didn't really investigate. But I was hanging out with a group of people, and the one guy had just come back from his first year of college. He also went to Clarion, so look at that.
Fly, Eagles, fly.
Fly, Eagles, fly. And he was doing the not the Rick James, the Little John, like, what? Yeah. And I said, what is that from? And he was like, oh my God, have you not watched Chappelle Show? And I said, no, what is it? So that night it happened to be on. And sure enough, one of the first skit that was on was this is a Little John moment. It just like blew my mind. I was like, this was so funny. And I've been a fan ever since. Like, I love Dave Chappelle.
Dude, one of my favorite skits from that show was when Keeping It Real goes wrong. And he would always I remember him blowing up in this business meeting, and then they show now he cleans windows like at red lights.
Right. I like I think my two like ones that are not like the bigger ones like Rick James are for sure the one where he's like the video of like The Office, like the introductory video where he's like, this is how you work here at this copy company. And he's like, if they ask for the manager, you tell them you are the manager.
That one actually pops up in a lot of reels and stuff, I believe now, like where he does like those little like comments.
Right. Well, that's why I said when you had started your job, I said, what are you doing? You're like, I'm watching all these videos. That's why I sent it to you.
Yeah, It reminds me of like waiting when he's in that training room watching.
I also really like the one where the internet is a mall and he goes to the internet and they show him like shopping for the DVDs and he looks across like the hallway in the mall and it's like everything's free and it's like pure chaos.
Yeah,
Just good.
and then I use this one, like all the references from this one all the time. The player hater ball.
Oh, absolutely, hands down, one of the greatest skits ever. And man, I just you and I say that to. I actually quoted that to another friend the one time. They had no idea what I was talking about. I was like, "Did you not watch Chappelle Show growing up?" And they said to me, "I kid you not, no, I wasn't allowed." I was like, "Oh no!" I said,
Nope,
"You gotta watch it."
nobody was allowed.
Nobody
Right?
was allowed.
And if you got caught, you probably went to hell camp.
That's right. That's where you know exactly.
They show up at 4 a.m. in the morning, which is statistically the best time to kidnap people.
I guess so. Okay, Roy Kent. No, it's like I always kind of saw it in a vein Chappelle Show, like The Simpsons or South Park. My parents they let me have a TV in my room for a couple years there, and that I'd go upstairs and that's where I'd watch it. And I'm not saying that I was kidding them or whatever, or fooling them. They knew what I was watching up there.
Yeah, I mean, in the way I kind of put it too is like, honestly, like the time we grew up, there wasn't a lot of rules, like
No.
especially for children's like television.
So it was kind of like in the 80s before PG-13 was invented. Like
Yeah,
do you remember like the ratings that would come up on a TV show? It'd be like rated Y, and then it'd be like Y7. And then it would immediately go mature audiences only. Like there was no in between.
yeah, like and if you don't think so, go watch the Orange Years, which I think might still be on Hulu.
Oh, that was a good one.
It's a Nickelodeon documentary, which is phenomenal. Like, if you guys haven't watched it, you should definitely check it out. We were just talking about documentaries, right? This gives you all the feelings right here,
Right.
right there. But they talk about
Especially
it.
yeah, especially if you grew up in the 90s like we did. Like it hits all the right notes.
Yeah, and they talk about it, how there weren't like really any rules, and they were just rolling out like anything that they could really find. And I mean, you look back at some of these shows, like just spanning like Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, like Rocko's Modern Life, like like Red and Snippy,
Ren
like
and Stimpy is not for kids. My brother's girlfriend over Christmas brought up the log song. It's log, it's better than bad, it's good. And I watched a clip from the show, and just like one clip, I was like, oh my gosh, like they marketed this to like 4-year-olds.
I know. And nowadays, right, that would be on at like 11 like p.m. at night, because
Right.
like you're like Rick and Morty, right?
Yeah,
It's
exactly. Well, even some of the skits and all that, like Kenan Thompson, the French guy in the tub, the things that he says, not appropriate. Like he taught, like I won't even repeat them here. Just, I mean, if you don't know what you're talking about, YouTube all that, Kenan Thompson in the tub, it will come right up. Just watch a few of those skits. You'll know exactly what we're talking about.
oh man, what a time to be a kid,
Dude,
right?
but all that show that was on, that was great because like not only did you get some funny, inappropriate humor, but you also got like the musical guest at the end of the episode too.
Yeah, for sure. Well, hey, for the 5 people listening and Frank's dad, now you know why we're so messed up.
Yeah, you put TVs in our room and we were watching Ren and Stimpy.
Yeah, yeah, we were watching Red and Snippy. There was no, guidelines on like what you could put on television, and
Right.
yeah,
There
you
was a
didn't love us enough you didn't love us enough. Well, I guess you did because we didn't go to hell camp. So
right. Well, yeah, there's that. No, but do you remember there was a cartoon on Beetlejuice?
yes, that was yeah.
I want to know who was the person that watched that movie and was like, you know what? We should make a cartoon version for the kids.
Hey, and whatever gets the viewership, right? That's all they care about.
What a time to be alive. Oh, I miss the 90s.
Any final comments here on Dave Chappelle, the Dreamer?
I would say streaming if you're, if you're a fan of Dave Chappelle. If you're not into his humor, again, like this isn't going to change your mind. It's exact, you get what you pay for, so to speak. So if you're like, I love Dave Chappelle, watch it. If you're like, I'm kind of on the fence about Dave Chappelle, it's not for you. Then watch something else.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Whatever. Yeah, but hey, just like Eminem, right?
Oh,
Drop us a recommendation. Chances are one of us is gonna like it.
right, right. We don't always watch the same stuff either. Like, there's plenty of things that you recommend. I'm just like, no.
Yeah, I mean exactly, and one of the reasons why we even do this is because like you said, Frank, there's just so much content out there, right?
Uh,
And so many things that come out, and it's nice that we do watch different things because we can give each other these recommendations. Because honestly, your opinion on movies and shows is one of the only ones I listen to.
Right. It's you and like three or four other people. Eminem is slowly working his way into the circle of trust. We'll see.
He got the cred now.
He's got the credit. Yeah, he's got skin in the game.
Yeah. Hey, Eminem, you slide him a Snickers. It might get you a little bit more cred.
There you go. Yeah, Nestle's Crunch, maybe a Twix. Who knows?
There, yeah, there you go, man.
I'm not picky. I'm not,
bring him a water with some cucumber in it. It's
oh
just
yeah,
delightful.
maybe some grape. Have the wine. Relax, baby cakes.
The fact that there is no Russell Crowe doing that god awful Italian accent, it just makes me not want to watch that.
Listen, the fact that like when we saw the new Thor movie, and then a few months later he's in the Pope's Exorcist, and he is doing literally the same voice.
The same thing.
Same voice. I was just like, dude, I want to be like the Russell Crowe level of success where I can get away with that type of thing between two unrelated movies. I'm just gonna play the same character, like no problem.
Well, if people like Eminem and your dad, start liking the videos, subscribing to the channel, maybe you could do that.
Exactly, that'd be real cool. I'd like to get some of that YouTube money.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
like back in the day with the Epic Meal Time.
that's
YouTube.
right. YouTube money.
But
Oh,
anyways, that's for streams for here for from Frank. I hope you guys all liked this episode here. Um, Again, remember to follow, like, and subscribe. It does help. Drop those recommendations in the comments. And hey, we'll catch you in the next one. Same streaming time, same streaming platform. Later, everybody.